at Westminster, they spend a lot of time talking about law and order and antisocial behaviour. The Labour government have got into a frenzy of lawmaking, and they've created 3,500 new criminal offences. But most of us don't feel any safer because of all that. Liberal Democrats believe that the answers don't lie here in Westminster and Whitehall, but out in the communities where the problems are happening. My name's Ros Scott. I'm the Liberal Democrat spokesman in the House of Lords on local government and communities, and I'm going to go out and talk to Liberal Democrat councils to see what they're doing in their neighbourhoods about these problems. I'm going first to Liverpool. It's a council that the Liberal Democrats have controlled since 1998, and they inherited a city that was blighted by high unemployment, poor educational opportunities and decline. Since then, they've turned things around, working with community groups, with business and with central government. They've created a city that people are now moving back to for the first time in decades. Dealing with crime and antisocial behaviour has been a high priority for Liberal Democrat councillors in Liverpool, and one practical way that they've been able to help neighbourhoods to protect themselves is by the alligating project. Alligating is a system where gates are put up to protect the rear entrances to terraced properties, and the keys are held by residents only. So I'm here in Daffodil Road in Liverpool to talk to Council Leader Warren Bradley. Warren, these gates were originally designed to prevent burglaries. How successful have they been?
We've prevented about 37% of burglaries through the entrance through the back alleys and 33% re-offending. It's been a massive impact in some of the poorer communities in Liverpool where people did feel vulnerable, did feel there was major problems. There's been massive benefits. Antisocial behaviour dumping has been reduced. The fire service, for instance, have said class 2 fires in the back alleys of terraced properties has diminished to virtually nil, which is it's great news for the public purse because the fire service can save money, the police service can save money dealing with antisocial behaviour, and the local authority saves money with clearing, dumping, etc.
So I guess lots of local communities are asking for these. I mean, how popular are they? What's the demand like?
Well, people didn't understand what alligating was initially, and they came to see us and said, what does it mean? And then we put them in some of the poorer communities, and then the suburban core of Liverpool, some of the leafier suburbs of Liverpool came to us and said, we want it. It's been paid for through the council, it's been supported through the other public sector agencies, and it's been tremendously successful.
Now, I know that alligating isn't the only project that you've been undertaking to deal with crime and antisocial behaviour. What other sorts of things have you been doing here in the city?
Well, we realised how important the city centre was, and we invested in more police in the city centre. So the local authority now fund the Goal Zone Police, which is 12 police officers specifically in the city centre to be additional to what the Merseyside Police provide. We now know statistically Liverpool is one of the safest city centres in the country.
The alley gates we've just seen are manufactured at Alternatives, part of the Lighthouse project, which provides help and training to young people who are suffering the effects of substance misuse. I met the Chief Executive, Diane Bird.
In terms of the alligating programme, the advantage here is that everybody benefits, the whole community is benefiting because we're reducing crime and burglary, but we're also helping people into a position where they can fully recover and go on and get full-time employment and stop basically depending on the public purse.
What sort of skills are you training people in, and how successful are you in helping people to find work at the end of their time here?
The sorts of skills that people need are very much about social skills. This is not just an alligating project. This is about helping people to begin to communicate with the world at large, to manage their way with their finances, with their diets, with their social dynamics, with their family members and the community, and really feel part of a whole thing and not to feel excluded.
John Shipley is the leader of Newcastle City Council. John, how high up the political agenda, when you took over in 2004, were crime and disorder problems?
Well, we had 6 to fix when we took control, of which reducing crime and undertaking projects which would actually make people feel safer in their communities. That was one of the things that was really very, very high on our agenda. Resident surveys still tell us that it's the number one issue for us to deal with.
So what sort of problems have people in the city been facing when you took control?
High levels of graffiti, quite a bit of antisocial behaviour, nighttime noise, people feeling that they weren't able to get a decent night's sleep and so on in some parts of the city. And so we've established a 7-night-a-week nighttime noise line now. We have a taxi marshalling scheme which enables better organisation of taxis late at night. Taxi drivers love it. We have a graffiti hotline, and graffiti squads put much more money into it. But we've done other things too in terms of prevention by investing in domestic violence prevention, substantial extra money in that area. Also in terms of racist reporting of racist incidents, we actually have a scheme properly staffed which actually reduces ethnic minorities' fear of racist incidents.
One of the most difficult problems that councillors have to get to grips with are complaints from residents about noise, especially late at night at weekends. Anita Lowe is the executive member who has responsibility for this sort of area. Anita, what kind of difficulties were residents experiencing here?
Well, what we found is this area is a student area, and students tended to stay out late, come in, and it was a conflict with family life, and residents wanted some sort of response from the council and a quick response to solve the problems before it escalated too far.
Okay, so what sort of measures have you put in place to deal with this?
Well, we got some money from Neighbourhood Renewal and we tried out a scheme of having a nighttime noise service. It was very successful, but the money ran out, so we've mainstreamed it now, and we've put in almost £500,000, and we provide a 24/7 nighttime noise service for residents where they can ring up and hopefully within 30 minutes someone will come out or speak to them and try and resolve the problem for them.
After the local supermarket closed in Ambergate, close in Newcastle, all sorts of antisocial behaviour problems began to arise. Malcolm Moran, what sort of things were happening in the site behind your house?
Basically, when QuickSave left, they left the skips at the back, which was an open invitation for the kids to come in, and basically they went in the skips, emptied everything, so rubbish was thrown into the garden all over the back of QuickSave. They started breaking into QuickSave, taking out the fire extinguishers, setting them off around the back and throwing them around, which was a hazard to the kids, and also they were coming in the back garden as well. Fires were being set off probably once or twice a week, and we had a fire brigade out quite a few times with the police around the back. They were climbing up on the top of the roof, playing around, graffiti, smoke and a bit of fighting, and it just sort of carried on like that, more or less on a nightly occurrence. So we went to the council to see what they could do, and obviously once he got involved, he started speaking to the police, the shop that left and the new shop owners, and things started happening there. We got cleaned up, the back doors were made more secure, and at that point the kids did disappear, but they sort of do come back occasionally, but not as frequent as what they were. So by getting in touch with the council was a big help.
1 in 7 of the population of Newcastle are students. That's over 40,000 people. So I'm here at the university with Matt and Nathan, who are studying here. How safe does Newcastle feel as a city for students?
I think it's relatively safe. I think if you look at a lot of the things that the council's been doing locally, helping, particularly in terms of housing, I think you'll find that the steps that have been taken have really helped to improve the safety. And then if you go further and look into the city centre, obviously there's a lot of potential crime hotspots there, particularly on a night out. Obviously students enjoy a few drinks, etc. And a lot of the things that have been done, such as the licensing of bouncers and the taxi marshals, it's all helping really to basically keep it safe.
Nathan, what sort of contact do you have with the council while you're studying here as a student?
Well, I mean, the council try to do their best working with students. Councillors come down on some of the freshest days, along with the police as well, and provide letters and details on keeping student property secure and giving out free like marker pens, the pens that you can put like the address on and telephone numbers. So there's a strong presence.
Dorothy Thornhill is the directly elected mayor of Watford, and like many communities, Watford had a range of antisocial behaviour problems, from graffiti to litter to abandoned cars and the whole range. Dorothy, how important to the people of Watford were those sorts of issues?
It was clear that it was actually their number one issue, in fact antisocial behaviour in general, and it was very low level stuff, criminal damage, just making areas feel as if they didn't belong to communities anymore and that people didn't feel safe in their neighbourhoods because of it.
And so what sort of approach did you decide to take after you were elected?
We really wanted to restore the credibility in the council's ability to deliver for local people. They used to say, what's the point, you never do anything, nothing happens, all of that, and that's quite depressing. Whereas we said, look, give us a month's trial, do what we're asking, if you don't see a difference, fine, give up on us, but let us prove our case, and we did, and it went on from strength to strength. And we do get occasional blips round here, and we've recently had to install CCTV again to try and catch a particular group of kids. But on the whole, if you knocked on doors round here, people would say that it's not the estate it was 3 years ago.
How do you deal particularly with the problem of young offenders?
I think it's important to have a full range of strategies, from one extreme, antisocial behaviour orders, right through down to mentoring schemes, acceptable behaviour contract, with support not just for the young person but also the family. It's important to bring the schools on board and to support the young people in the best way. Well, I make it clear to all the people who work with the council, the important thing is not to punish young people but to actually change their behaviour, to bring them close up with the consequences of what they've done, and to actually understand what it means to the community when criminal damage such as this is done around in their area. And I'm extremely proud to say that it's been very successful.
Dorothy, tell me how the restorative justice system is working here.
Well, when I first became mayor, it was nothing more than a word. Nothing was actually happening very much, and I really wanted to actually make this mean something. So we now have a really good programme of work that is being done around the borough by youngsters and adults who have actually offended against the community, and it's real community projects, from work on individual people's houses, of victims, through to major clean-ups and big projects that are quite creative and innovative where skills are being learnt. So we've got the whole range, and I think it's also important that I also go and visit them, that I make it clear to the youngsters in our town, and they know I'm their mayor, that I'm actually saying to them, that what you're doing is important, it matters, and we really value it. And the numbers are decreasing, so that's a good sign, and we've got every sign that it has a positive impact on the young people, certainly better than attempting to lock them up and throw away the key.
Abingdon is the largest town in the Vale of Whitehorse district. It's the oldest continually inhabited town in the country. Like many towns of its size, it doesn't have a serious crime and disorder problem, but it does have problems with antisocial behaviour and low-level disorder. So I'm here with the leader of the Town Council and District Councillor, Alison Rook. Alison, what sort of problems did you have to deal with here? What sort of things really get under the skin of local people?
Well, Ros, I think really perception is everything here. The facts speak for themselves. The Vale of Whitehorse district area and Abingdon town are one of the safest areas in the country. but in actual fact the perception is that it's not. So really it was a case of having to control what low-level disorder we do have, but also reassure people that we are taking their concerns seriously and make what is not a bad situation even better. One of the things we have done is increased our partnership working. The Bridge project, which is located just behind me here, supports young people. It gives them advice when they have alcohol problems, drug problems. It provides computer systems for them to actually get on and become productive in life, apply for jobs, find out about life. In fact, one of the things I'm most proud of is that the Abingdon Town Council this year, we increased their grant hugely.
Julie Mayhew Archer has been a councillor here in Abingdon since 1991, and she's seen the need for support services for young people. Julie, can you tell me about the foyer project behind us?
Well, it was quite a long time in the inception. It was a Vale of Whitehorse District Council initiative to really provide a facility that would support young people into work.
So what sort of help do you offer young people who come to the foyer?
Well, basically they're provided with accommodation. Their needs can be quite varied and challenging, and they're helped to either find a placement at college, to study, or to find work. They usually stay for anything up to a year.
CCTV can be a thorny issue for Liberal Democrats. On the one hand, communities quite like it. On the other hand, there are civil liberties issues for us. So I've asked Alison how they've dealt with this in the Vale of the White Horse.
Well, Ros, we have listened to people. We have put in CCTV cameras, particularly where the police have advised us that they're needed. But what we haven't done is used a sledgehammer to crack a nut. We've reviewed the situation and we are actually refining where those cameras are. So there aren't just cameras everywhere willy-nilly, there are cameras where they are particularly needed. And of course what we've done, as Abingdon is a very old town and there's a conservation area in the centre of town, we've actually used designs of CCTV cameras that are unobtrusive and that fit in with the environment of the centre of the town, as you can see over my shoulder.
Liverpool, Newcastle, Watford and Vale of Whitehorse are four very different areas facing different problems, and what we've seen are how Liberal Democrat councils work to cut crime and disorder in those areas. They listen to what local people have to say, they work with all the other agencies, and what it shows is that Liberal Democrats care about crime and they cut crime.